we can kind of show it.
Yeah.
I was going to have it as a surprise, but we might not. Oh, so we have a great idea. As soon as all of this is over, instead of having a masquerade ball,
Uh-huh.
we're gonna have a de-masquerade ball.
I
That
like
means the
it.
mask comes off. So
I
de-mask
like
ball.
it.
So lots of people decided to teach online and, if private group classes and things like that. And I apologize that I haven't done this. Um, Not that I couldn't, but instead I decided to remodel the studio. There were little tiny things that the studio needed updates and or fixes, and we knew we had to do it, and we were planning on maybe using a whole weekends and shutting one side down for a week, etc., and working on it. And that would have made our life very, very difficult when we were in a full operation. But unfortunately or fortunately, this pandemic gave us opportunity to fix the studio, the dance floor, the bathrooms, paint. There's throw away bunch of stuff. You guys, when you come, and if you've been here before, and then you come, and you might not see all of that we've done, but this big garbage in the back has been pulled 3 times of the stuff that we had in the studio. I don't know from where. I mean, I don't know what it was. Stop bringing things to us and going, hey, can you use this for your dance studio? Because we take it, because I don't want to throw it away. And then we probably don't use it. So don't bring anything. I'm cleaning house. Probably 5 or 6 years ago, some of the plumbing in the building got plugged up, and water came from underneath and flooded. So I don't know if you've been here, then you remember we had some little bumps in the dance floor that are no longer there. I did not take the whole floor and redid it. We just cut out a little squares in the dance floors and shaved off the plywood that's underneath, because our floor is floating and spring. There's a bunch of layers. That's why it's nice and soft. So we shaved some of the plywood, made it nice and flat, so the floor is as flat as we could have gotten it without completely have to remodel it. Then, and I maybe wish I didn't do it, but we did stain it a little redder than what it was before. Do you like it, Samantha?
I love the floor because it's darker, which I always
Correct.
appreciate in a floor. And I don't know if it's intentional or not, but the old floor had kind of this glossy finish that I felt like
Correct. It
just
was.
hugged dust, whereas this is
Yes.
much more matte. And I was dancing on it and I loved it. It was so much
So
better.
it's not as fast. The other one was much faster. It was aluminoxide finish on it. I think I pronounced it correctly. Right now is just regular water-based floor finish from Bona. And we went with super matte. So it's not just matte. It's like super matte, matte, then I think eggshell, semi-gloss, gloss. I think we had semi-gloss before. Yeah, so we went with the matte first of all to see if we can not be as slippery
Yes.
as it was before, because lots of people that weren't good dancers complain that the floor is slippery. If you know, and talk to us about it. If you ever go somewhere and you go, okay, why am I sliding all over? Why cannot keep my balance? It's because you're not pushing off your standing leg and you're not putting enough pressure in the moving leg, etc. We work with you on that, so please let us know if you have a hard time. So what is fun about this now, the couple of the other ballrooms, the floor is not refinished, so now we have slippery, medium, and non-slippery floors. So if you're traveling around for your lessons, see which floor you like, which one is comfortable for you. And depending on the dance also, I think the Westies, the West Coast Swing, Kim's and James's students really like the slippery one, so they go in the back. For smooth, it's wonderful to have semi-slippery with some stickiness. The Latin people like it really, really sticky, so they can push off. It's not good for your knees to be too sticky, so I think we're okay. So what I don't like about the matte finish, it shows the dust. All I do all we're gonna do now, not
Is
just
clean
me.
the floor.
Everybody's gonna have to sweep and wipe the floor as much as possible, especially when winter comes and the salt is outside.
Yeah,
The salt is really on the dark floor with the matte finish.
it'll be
That's gonna
obvious.
really, really show. So we apologize if it doesn't always look perfect. We're gonna try to. Well, maybe that will force us to clean more often.
There we
So the
go.
floor has been redone. Yes.
Yes.
Should we kind of? I'm gonna grab this camera and walk around so we can kind of show it.
Yeah.
I
So
was
for
going to have it as a surprise, but we might not. Oh, so we have a great idea. As soon as all of this is over, instead of having a masquerade ball,
uh-huh.
we're gonna have a de-masquerade ball.
I
That
like
means the
it.
mask comes off. So
I
de-mask
like
ball.
it. I like it.
So there is the dark floor.
Yes. So for those of you that are listening to this in the podcast form after the live stream, the main ballroom space at Ballroom Utah is 3,000 square feet. It's a lovely long space, and the floor is now kind of this cherry red matte finish color, which I absolutely adore. All of the walls have been refinished and repainted with a lovely soft gray color. The photos or the art pieces that you see in the background, if you're watching this on the live stream, are by a local artist called Pam Nielsen. She's partnered with Ballroom Utah to treat it almost like her second art studio space. So we have the luxury of having fantastic artwork on the walls when we're dancing and teaching. And then there are new curtains that have been put up, black and gray stripes on the far wall to cover up where the cinder block wall is.
Well, we could have painted it, but I think it looks very elegant. It looks like a ballroom with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then for those of you that have previously been in the space, you know that the bathrooms, because this was a converted warehouse space, the bathroom doors used to be on the front, actually facing the dance floor, which was a little bit awkward for everybody. So Martin and team have put the bathroom doors on the side and have kind of created a little alcove to hide the entrance to the bathroom doors, which has been
now their bathrooms
quite
are
nice.
hidden. Oh, by the way, ladies, I got you a bigger mirror in the bathroom. And then I'm going to put a full-size mirror on that wall. Yes, there's a pocket door, but it locks very nicely. I put that very heavy-duty lock on it, so it locks well. So yeah, you don't see the bathroom doors. There's more mirrors now too. So when you're having a lesson and everybody was kind of gathering over there where the big mirrors are. So now hopefully they can also do it in front of here. The junior ballroom also has been painted, so that's big.
One of the benefits to the space at Ballroom Utah is there's also two extra, we call them junior ballrooms. There's one that's like a 30 by 30 space, which is great for when I have wedding clients. I like to use the smallest junior ballroom because it feels a little bit less intimidating. But that has also been repainted, which is quite nice.
And so this is going to be the painting or picture ballroom where all the dance pictures are going to go. So all of our competition and performance, etc. pictures. I don't know if you can see it. Yep, there's one already hanging. The whole box is sitting up. So this room is going to be full of pictures from shows and competitions.
Yep. And then there's a farther ballroom that we won't show on camera that also looks very nice. That's kind of a medium size. That's a good practice space for when you're working on competition routines and you want something that's a little bit more condensed and a little bit more private. So yeah, I love that. We have a follow-up question. So we referred to the floor as floating and sprung. Just a couple of differences between the two of those. So sprung floors normally have either layers of plywood or layers of foam and plywood. So that way, sprung is in the name. As you step down, it compresses and it kind of takes some of the pressure off and then it'll bounce back up. Floating just means that it's not nailed down or attached to the floor. Right. So that way, as the temperature changes, the floor will expand or contract, which puts less wear and tear on the boards itself. And it just gives a little bit of an air pocket between the concrete, which is in what most of these spaces are, and the floor that you're dancing on. So again, it gives a little bit of cushion.
Our floor actually has the rubber on the bottom, then 2 layers of plywood, then special wax paper in between, because in order for the floor to be floating or floating, you needed something, otherwise it would be stuck on the
On the plywood.
plywood. So there's a layer of wax, heavy duty paper, then the floating floor on top. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of things. That's why when you come in, all the floors have a little, like when you're in the lobby, and then there's that much difference between this and the floor.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they're all spring, but the main ballroom is floating. Those are not floating. The other two ballrooms are they're actually nailed to the plywood, but there's still the rubber, the plywood, the floor, but the floor is nailed into the plywood. So it's not floating, but still spring.
It's still sprung. Yeah. And that's really both having it floating and sprung, or just having one or the other, is really important, because it's all about impact resistance, right? If you are teaching and you're dancing hard for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, or 6 days a week, or 7 days a week, however often you're teaching, that's a lot of impact that you're putting into your knees and your hips and your back and just all of your joints. And if you're dancing and you're competing and you're training a lot, that's also a lot of impact. So we want to make sure that we are protecting our bodies as much as possible. The other thing with most studios in the US, and it sounds like this is broadening out to studios internationally as well, we are mainly teaching adults. We're teaching folks that are potentially in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, upwards.
Jean was her. I don't know if you guys followed up on Facebook. Jean's 95th birthday was last Tuesday, a week ago, and we did a little parade for her. So it was really, really fun.
You know, she absolutely adores when you keep pointing out her age, right?
Well, it was announced on Facebook, and there were signs, so now people can see it. So
yeah, we have a couple of students at BallroomUtah that are in their 90s or close to their 90s. So we want to make sure that we're protecting them as much as possible too. So having those extra cushions underneath the floor really helps with that. So that's the difference between sprung and floating.
You probably can feel, if you come on Friday night and you dance for a couple hours. Let's say you come to the group classes like we normally had, and dance for an hour, and then dance for another 2 hours of the social, and stay for the Latin, and dance to 1 in the morning. So if you dance for 2, 3, 4 hours, the next day, yes, you will be sore muscle-wise, but you should be okay. Versus if you go, and we love Galavan Center, and we love going to the hanger dance for the 40s or 50s dance, but they're all cement floors with maybe this plastic portable floor on top of it. It's not spring, it's not floating, it's kind of sticky. You will feel some pain the next day, especially if you over 25 or so. Yeah. Actually, the pain started around 30. I think I was 33 when I discovered the first pains. And unfortunately, I probably knew, but we weren't paying attention. When you're young and you don't care, because you're never gonna hurt me. What do you mean hurt? I don't hurt. I worked for lots of dance studios, or coached for dance studios, that the owners wouldn't teach, and therefore they didn't. And they had young staff, and people weren't coming as much, or as many hours when they were old adults. And so the floors were just parquet glued to cement. And we didn't feel any pain till you start feeling pain.
Yep.
And so if you get too much wear and tear. Recently, last couple of years, I've often get asked to do performances or teach. And that's one of my questions. If I go to a studios, do they have floating or spring floors? Or is it just a cement? And one of the studios I coach in told me that they have a spring floors. They booked me 10 hours. After 2 hours, I couldn't walk, because they asked me to choreograph showcases and such. And we canceled the rest of the day because they didn't know what it meant. So interesting. So our floors are nice and springy.
Yes, it makes a difference.